This is part 5 from start to finish of the hospital stuff. You might want to go back to part 1 if you haven't seen it, because it talks about the very beginning of when my mom's ex was trying to get in and what led me to going to the hospital in the first place. There was no calendars or really anything in there to tell time. But to me, it was day 3 of being in the hospital, the involuntary part. So I'll talk about that one. This was the day after I had been hit by the nurse and then thrown in the seclusion room, that they call it, but to me was solitary, and abused in there and withheld of any necessities, including clean pads and any water, because there wasn't a sink. I couldn't drink from it. And I was very lucky I didn't die of hypothermia or anything, because it was freezing cold and I had no blankets. So it was visitor day, which is, I didn't know was a thing, because I wasn't allowed phone. I was kept away from ever calling for help for anyone. I couldn't even call the police if I wanted to. And they weren't letting me go home, even though they had said 24 hours, and it was way past that. So they were making everybody take a shower, because visitor day, right? They don't want anybody to look like they were being neglected, which I was, because my hair was a mess. I asked so many times for a brush, because I was legit worried that my hair was going to be so tangled that I'd have to cut it off because it was so bad. They wouldn't give me a brush though. But visitor day, you bet they did that after I had a shower. There was no, you couldn't say no to that. And I am a very reserved person. So having somebody take you and watch you shower, next level, making me think it's prison, basically. And because of whatever drugs they were secretly putting in my stuff and whatever they had injected with me at the time, it was affecting me. And so it just wasn't pleasant at all. And I was doing my darnest to survive, because that's what it was. I was in survival mode, and I was constantly having panic attacks that I wasn't aware of, because I never had them before. So I didn't know at the time they were panic attacks, and I was going through so much because of everything they had done to me. There were community bottles that everybody used, but it was during COVID, and a lot of people weren't wearing masks. They were supposed to, but I didn't know. So no one was wearing masks. I'm actually very lucky I didn't get sick. But I was aware enough to think, hey, so many people touch these. Maybe wipe them off with soap, like body soap, using the body soap to wipe off whatever I was touching. Just because, it was, I was really happy when I finally got the brush though, because I could brush my hair. But that meant when my sister finally did come to visit me, she wasn't aware of how neglected I was, how ill-treated I was, because to her, I presented as, hey, I'm clean, I'm fresh, look at my hair, it's brushed, it's all nice, and nothing was wrong. And they had drugged me before that, and she actually told me she could tell they had given me something, because I kept forgetting what I was talking about just moments ago, and I seemed so dazed. And I was like, oh, really? Because I didn't know. When my sister left, that was the time they did start letting me call anybody. They didn't before. And so I was really happy to be able to call my sister, and I called her every time I was upset, every time I told them I wanted to go home, and the nurses had just kept saying, this is rest, or vague, we'll see, like, we'll see, it depends on the doctor. And I didn't know my sister had actually asked them on my mom's behalf to let me out to go with her that day. Legally, they had to. None of us knew that, because, I mean, it was a new situation. So if, you know, anyone who's going through that, please, yeah, definitely let them know about that. Because I was stuck there for 6 days, illegally, against my will, and against my family's will, because none of us knew the law, and none of us were told. So 6 days of hell. And the response they gave to my sister was, it depends on the doctor. Like, only the doctor can see that. They didn't say which doctor. They didn't say anything else. They didn't say wait here for the doctor. They just told her no, and the doctor, and then shoot her out. And I had no clue, because they didn't tell me that my family was calling. I did legit think that my family left me there, and they didn't care about me. That's where my mind was at, because I was going through so much alone and hurt, and I couldn't tell anybody because it wasn't getting reported. And so I was just suffering, thinking even my family didn't care, which actually negatively affected my thinking towards them. And it changed me when I got out, because I thought negatively after that my mom had left me in there. So it affected my relationship greatly. The next day, there was a new lady, older lady, and they said she was there, and they were waiting for her testing for COVID, and she was touching everyone without their permission. She was in my area, in my room, with other people, and we were stuck with her, thinking, we're all gonna get sick. And the night she's there, her and the other lady just start freaking out at me and the other patient I was talking with. They were mad because we were talking and they wanted the lights out, but her light was still on. But it wasn't time to shut off all the lights yet, so we were loud. But she was yelling, and it was triggering her into like a state of shock. And I was trying to protect both of us, because I also have issues with screaming and stuff. I went and told the nurse, and when I was telling him, the patient I was talking to, she came out crying, because she said that they were saying some horrible stuff, plotting some horrible stuff that she didn't want to say, and it was upsetting her so much she didn't feel safe to be in there anymore. We both told him we didn't feel safe, and he said we could stay out. And they were cackling, circling each other, laughing, and shut the door, and it scared the shiz out of us. I wanted to go home. They still wouldn't let me home, so we were on the couch, and they wouldn't let us stay. They shooed us back to the room where we felt unsafe. They said they would talk to them, but they never did. So once the lights went out, they just started laughing in the dark. In the dark, it was so creepy. I couldn't sleep, and she couldn't. And they kept moving. I legit thought that something was gonna happen to me that night. And they really don't care. They don't care.